song. That's one of my favorite songs. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Influential You podcast. I'm Josh Damigo, senior faculty member with Influential You, and I'm here with John Patterson, CEO and co-founder of Influential You as well. We come to you every single week and we let you know about the things that we teach, how you can take charge of your career and amplify your professional influence. Since 2009, we've helped thousands of business owners, executives, and entrepreneurs become more influential, more rewarded, and more you. Today, we're speaking with Jean Lloyd. Jean Lloyd is a cultural architect, and her approach is unique as she does not prescribe a blueprint for success with her clients because her clients are already experts in their field. One of the things that I love about Jean is that she's absolutely humble. She's easy to talk to. You're going to love her from the start, but she brings guidance and critical thinking to her clients to impact their success, and they get a new mind-bending outlook that equips them to reimagine and then reinvent what they're doing. One of the best things that you'll find out about Jean Lloyd is her heart today, and you're going to hear it absolutely when it's time to speak with her, and I cannot wait for you to meet the Jean Lloyd. We're going to put her website right here at the bottom so you can actually see her. And we're so excited that she's going to be here. Please welcome to the Influential You podcast, Jean Lloyd. Hi, Jean. How are you?
Hello. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited. I'm with two people I really love. And so I think we're going to have a lot of fun today. How about that?
I accept. And Jean, before we get going, my prompter kind of messed up a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit more about all of the things that you're a co-founder of and what you do in the marketplace?
If you go to jeanlloyd.com, a lot of what you were creating is on that website. But what I do is I listen to people for a living, and I listen to what they tell me they want. And then I really get clear about what do they have that's in their culture, what are the conversations, precisely the narratives that are in their culture. And then I ask them, their cultural stakeholders, I ask them, which narratives do you want to keep? And which narratives do you not want to keep? And then that's when we get to work.
That's great.
It's so good. And I'll read this too, because I've got it now unfrozen. Jean is the owner and president of Jean Lloyd Consulting, which I just told you about. You saw the website. She's also the founder of the I Communicate Summit and the founder of Alma's Alchemy Inc. She lives in Baltimore, Maryland, and is a graduate of the Fundamentals of Transaction program, Priority and Practice, and is completing the Mechanics and Practice program. She's John Patterson's longtime friend and my brand newest friend. And that is how I wanted to introduce you. So because you're my brand newest friend, I'm going to let John ask you a couple of questions and get out of the way.
Well, first of all, it wouldn't be a conversation between you and I, would it, if we didn't love on each other just a little bit?
Exactly.
I think I've known you, what is it, 10 years, 20 years? I don't know how long it's been, but you are one of those people that whenever I get a chance to just spend a little bit of time with you, Jean is one of those people that you feel as if someone's there standing steadfast and kind of gotcha, don't worry, I gotcha. That's kind of the best ways that I experience myself when I'm around you. And I've known you to be a very powerful woman throughout your entire career. And it's great to have you here with us. Now, I want to kind of start us off. You've been a participant in our programs. I don't know exactly when you started. You remember what year? Roughly 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 7 years ago.
Say again, you kind of cut out.
I said, do you remember about when you started with us?
Oh, maybe 4 years ago. Okay. When I did FOT.
All right, good.
Fundamentals of transacting.
Mm-hmm. Good. So tell us a little bit about your journey. Everybody that we interview here who's been a customer of ours has a bit of a journey. There's life before Influential You. What were you dealing with in your life? I remember seeing something in your notes about invasion of the body snatchers. What were you dealing with?
Well, I think I'll start at the beginning because it really will tell you.
Yeah.
kind of how I even decided to come to Mother Earth. It was, I was born in December on Christmas Day, and I was born in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And my mother told me this story, and it's just so apropos to Gene Lloyd. Okay, so my mother's having a baby, right? And then all of a sudden they get really excited and they're like, oh my God, get the doctor, get the doctor. We need support, we need support. And so then they call my father and they tell my father, come to the hospital, Mr. Lloyd. He said, is it my bride? And then they said, no, it's not your bride. And then he said, well, the baby. They said, not the baby, it's the babies. So I was born and they weren't expecting me to come. And so I'm a twin. And my father gets to the hospital and he's like, oh my goodness, wait a minute, that's not my baby, she's white. And it's so funny, I'm a newborn. But at any rate, the thing that I think when you said I got you, the thing my father said that moved me the most was he said I was on my way to the Korean War. He was in the army. And he said, because I had twins, they did not deploy me to Korea. He says, I'm alive today because of you. Wow. So it was like, gotcha, I got you, Dad, I got you. And that's kind of been my life, is being committed to people sometimes more than they're committed to themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of the way that I've always known you to be. Reading your notes, I was kind of left with this thing that I know about a great number of people that you and I may know in common, Gene. And many of these people, you could say they found their heart and soul in sort of the work they were doing. And then at some point, they began to find that they were pulled in a different direction. And their heart sort of never came back. They couldn't, that's not the best way to say it. It's a bit like I was so committed to something that once I moved away from that, I didn't know how to find that again. Right. Or I didn't know how to restore that, or I didn't know if it ever could be restored, or I wonder if that was a one-time. So can you comment on that as, for your journey?
Yeah, the thing I've always known about myself is I'm a seeker. I'm always looking for how can I make a difference and open up something for people. And, quite frankly, by the time I got out of college, I had been exposed to a lot of things, particularly the world of philosophy. And I always wanted to know, how can I take all of the things I learned? So one of the biggest pieces was when I started going to church and stuff. My dad was big in the church. And he said, one of the biggest lessons that we learned early on, and it's been a thread in my entire life, is in the beginning, there was the Word. And I kept looking for the word that would open up people's productivity, open up love, open up just their ability to really live. And so I knew I was going to be a late bloomer for that reason. I knew it. And I tried lots of different things. And, I worked in the financial services industry. I worked for stock brokerages. I worked for banks. I worked with nonprofits. I worked with just all kinds of businesses. And I kept like this seeking. And the seeking was, what's the word? What's the narrative? What's the story of you that would have your company win, have you win, have your family win? Like the whole human being gets to win. And, a lot of doors never opened because of different narratives, some of which I had no control over. So I thought.
Yeah.
So good.
And so I kept looking for what's your voice, because I can't get to someone else's voice until I get my voice. Like, what is your seeking, right? And I'm
Right.
seeking the word, the
It's
language that
so-
unlocks that human over there.
Yeah.
And I'll say this because John, it's really funny. I was raised in a Baptist upbringing, and I know that's John 1:1 that you just quoted.
Exactly.
And what's funny is in communication, I was a communication undergrad, and I know that that's a big through line for you is your ability to communicate and your performer skill set. One of the things I used to say at Bible college was the first gift that God did after He created life was the ability to communicate. And I didn't know how I was going to fit that in today. And Eugene, you did that perfectly for me to be able to say that. But what was it then at the end where you're like, you know what, I have to do this. This fundamentals of transaction program is something I must do. What was that thing for you where we decided that up with this, I shall no longer put, we're doing fundamentals of transaction?
That is so good. So after all those years of studying people and learning so many, many things, I was finally ready to take on what really was close to my heart. Now, learning about people's lives and all that was extraordinary, but I also knew I was too sensitive. I was wore too much on my sleeve. And it had a lot to do with ancestral memory. I know it did, because I've never been a slave. I mean, I've had a great life. I haven't suffered, but I'm in the presence of the tremendous suffering as if it's my own. And so now I'm interested in, now that I've learned what I've learned and I'm now grounded enough and know myself enough, I can stay present in these really difficult conversations. So that's when I started my company. And I created it just the way I talked to you all about. Okay, we're going to find out what the narratives are, and then we're going to get to work. The biggest problem I had, though, was as great as my stuff is, and it's good. I mean, people's lives are altered. I mean, altered. People who never made money make lots of money. People who couldn't get over things that happened in their personal lives get over it, and they are getting more and more fulfilled. But the breakdown is I didn't know how to transact. I didn't really have the levers and dials of how do you get out of your work. See, the way it's set up when I started Fundamentals of Transaction, it was set up where I had to do everything. You know, like you have to go get the pig, kill the pig, you know, cut up the bacon, cure the bacon.
Your company was set up as you had to do everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Solopreneur.
Right. So that's when I realized there's too much me in my business. Way too much me. I'll never, ever be able to leave a legacy if there's so much me.
Yeah. And in that statement, it's such a beautiful statement, so much me in my business. Did you not only see that you weren't having others participate, or there was, you know, there's no way to give away the legacy of you over time and so forth, but did you also see that there was too much you, as in ways you were in the way? Like, did you deal with you getting out of the way as well in some instances? And if so, do you want to say anything about that?
Yes. I remember this was a big turning point for me. It was at the very end of FOT, Fundamentals of Transaction, at the very end where you were interviewing me.
Yeah.
You, John Patterson. And you said to me, I don't know if you have enough, if you're an ambitious adult. And when you said that to me, that was like a sledgehammer. Bam! You know, I'm just like, whoa, Jack, that's just wrong. You know, that's just wrong. Why are you talking to me that way? You know, and whenever I get indignant like that, I know you're on to something.
Yeah.
So when you said it, I started to confront what you said. Let me see if I can get what he said, not what I thought he said.
Yes.
And what I got clear about was having ambition is not enough.
If I can, for the sake of our listeners, I just want to say something about it, and I'll say something about it to clarify for you. I remember the moment quite explicitly myself, but I've never, ever, ever had the thought, do you care enough? I mean, the well of caring is deep. It is infinite. It is endless.
Yeah.
The concern I had for you is, do you have the ambition to transact for your aims, And that really was the concern I had, because I know a great number of people who care so deeply about the world in so many ways, whether or not they care about the world as an ecological something, or they care about people in the world.
Yeah.
But then there's caring for you. And you said this a little bit earlier, caring for you enough to make sure that you were thriving and your legacy could live on because you were thriving and you took care of this resource, to take things on and take them on into the world. So that's where I said that from, if that adds any additional something to what I said back then.
Well, I think I get that. I think I'm glad you said it, because there's so many people that could misinterpret it totally. You see what I mean? So this whole thing about ambition, here's what I thought I see. Ambition actually, in some ways, is a dirty word.
Yeah.
Because, you meet people all the time. Their ambition is absolutely disgusting. I mean, they will do any and all things to get where they're going. And so it does have a kind of a bad rap. But in this instance, it was more about me being someone who would accept offers, and then I would do whatever the client needed me to do, and I worked things out. But when I got clear about what ambitious adult means, that means you're thinking tactically, you're thinking strategically, you are designing an enterprise that gives rise to everyone being taken care of, including yourself.
Yeah.
And one of those things that mean a lot to me is legacy. Like, I don't die with everything that I have over here with me.
Mm.
Why would you want to work so hard all these years and make all the difference you make, and then no one gets the benefit of it over there where they are, so they can build on the shoulders of it?
Yeah.
So it's very cultural in many ways. For me, when I look back, my grandmother was a sharecropper. There isn't really a conversation about surplus at all. Even though I never suffered economically, my parents were great and are still great. They still live. But I'm thinking about, if you really are living legacy, there would be surplus. There would be more than enough where others could thrive and stand on the shoulders of your thriving. And that's when I said, I get where Brother Man was coming from.
I love that. And I, as a performer personality myself, Gene, I sort of hear John's velvet sledgehammer, that he calls it, the way that you hear it. There's velvet there, but sometimes you don't feel it, because performers, we're a little sensitive. At least
we can be.
We can be.
We can be.
So I know that was probably the bigger takeaway. Was there any other big lessons that you learned during the fundamentals of transaction? And before you answer, just a reminder to everybody watching, we're interviewing Jean Lloyd. You can find more about her at jeanlloyd.com. She is one of our clients, and she is lovely. You'll have to connect with her and find out more about her. Jean, something else that maybe another takeaway that you had, or something that really helped your business and your personal life during the fundamentals of transaction program, or during your studies with us?
Well, when I was in priority in practice, that was the next big thing for me. Oh God, I always wanted to do priority in practice. That's why I waited. And then Marnie called me. And so priority in practice is I don't know, 6 weeks. But good Lord, do you find out what you are doing with your time? Woo! Oh my God. I was just like, Jesus, register me in MAP right now. I didn't even wait. I was like, I'm requesting, interview me, do whatever, what you need to do. Tell me you have to be fit to do it. And I'm like, fine, whatever it takes. because what I did see was there were a number of things that I had a lot of naivete about.
Mm.
You know, like there is financial intelligence that is critical here. There is how to transact powerfully through all of the steps. See, a lot of things I do is very intuitive. It's just there to do.
Mm-hmm.
But how the heck can you give away something when it's intuitive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you gonna? Okay, it's time for me to register. I'm ready. Let us get to work. Let's roll up our sleeves. And so that also brings me to something else that I got clear about. When it's just you doing everything, there is a kind of ego that starts to emerge because it's you're doing it on your own personal work, your own personal. Everything starts to get personal, and you're not really developing a team of people where you're all able to create things together, work through things. So all they had was my personality. There's different personalities you actually must have, and you must develop and grow together inside of transacting. Like there's things I do, but then there's things other people do that a performer does not do.
Mm.
And in the Mechanics in Practice program, which I know you're about to complete, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in that program,
Well, I'm halfway through.
Are you halfway through? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Good. Can I assume now that you have people on a team, or you're doing the work to define who those people might be, or what's the status?
There, I have people on the team.
All right.
Now, here's the thing, John, I have to say, it wasn't that I didn't have anybody on the team. It's that I wasn't making the right request. I
Yep.
wasn't having the right conversations at the right time with the right people.
Okay. All right.
That's good.
And for your own legacy, are you now chewing on how to develop people to have the kind of intuitive quality that you do? What's going on about that?
Well, I'm going to say it like this. I want people to work inside of their gift.
Mm.
And what I want them to be able to do is to be infinitely clear about what their gift is and how to best utilize it.
Yeah.
So intuition isn't going to get you there. You got to really know what you know.
Yeah.
So, and when it's intuitive, it sort of lives in, I don't know why I know it or how I know it, which is not very useful. You've got to be able to say where it came from, how to think about it, and how to make certain moves within that realm.
Yeah. Something resonating.
Oh, so much. First off, I can hear you in you. I
Yeah,
can
me
hear
too.
that need for people to help others. I can hear that. And the second thing that I really like is you brought up the intuitive a couple times. And one of the things that I really like is that we teach people to be intentional with those moves. And when you're using that intentionality, one of the things that you learn in management is that a personality-based company, a church, for example, that has a very outgoing leader doesn't generally get to leave a legacy behind because everyone misses that personality so much. And what you're starting to build is something a lot stronger than a personality-based leadership, which I absolutely love. So that's what I'm getting from all that. And I guess I'll ask you this question, Gene. After fundamentals of transaction, after all the things, how is life now? What's it like in your world now to do all of this and to practice what you've learned over the last 4 or 5 years?
Well, you know what? I actually am very much at home with myself in ways I've never been. The challenges have been really great. So when COVID came along, a lot of the work I was doing with my clients, now I had to create different ways to get to them. And I had one client that really required a heck of a lot of work. Civil rights organization, extremely well known worldwide, by the way. And I was working with them on their strategic plan. And they had to cut way back on the amount of time we were utilizing to create this strategic plan. And I realized that I had everything I needed. As long as it didn't become about me and I kept doing the work and I kept working through what I knew to work through, not so much about knowing how to do it, but how to be about it and how to open up everything in a much shorter period of time. I'm shocked at the amount of work we got done in a couple hours a week for several weeks. Now we're inside of implementation, and now, which is much tougher in many ways, because now you're having them walk the talk.
Yeah.
So now it's about, are you sure you want to use that language with the senator?
Yeah.
What really is, you're not going to get what you want if you do it that way. Let's look together, shall we? And and then since then, my father's had a stroke. Both parents have been in the hospital 4 times over the last quarter. And I was able to stay present and stay purposeful and mourn at the same time.
Yeah.
And then employ the use of my team, talk to them about, this is what I need you to do. You're gonna lead the webinar tonight. Here's how you're gonna do it, and here are the steps you're gonna take. You are ready. Do not worry. And at any time you can have a conversation with me. Remember, we're one voice. It's not Gene Lloyd's voice, it's our voice.
So good. So good. On that note, by the way, you and I got to have a conversation, because there's something about a voice that I want to give to you. Sorry, podcast listeners, I'm not giving it to everybody, but Gene, I want to give it to you. So you and I need to have a little talk about that. Just remember,
I would love to have a talk about that.
Something about a voice, of giving away a voice. So, and I know I read in your notes you quadrupled your income.
Oh yeah, my income. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you something about this income thing. See, I get my value out of being with people. When I see them winning, when I see them making a lot of money, they're having children they never thought they could have, by the way. There's all kinds of miraculous stuff. That's why the name of the corporation is Alma's Alchemy. My name's Alma Jean Lloyd. Alma's Magic, Alma's Alchemy. And because that's what people say. They'll say, she's just magic. I just hire her. She's just magic. And so, to me, I don't chase money, because then you have to do it for the rest of your life. And you're not happy chasing money. But if you follow your dreams.
That's so good.
Hold on. What is it?
Yeah, I hear it.
I stayed true to myself the whole time. When it was really tough.
Yeah.
And those times when you feel like you must be crazy. You must be absolutely bonkers. I could do it. I could just be a famous actress. Come on. I don't have to do this. But I still love what I do, because it's about impact. It's about impact for me. That's what matters to me. But it's interesting, when the impact is there, the money's there.
Yeah.
And I quadrupled my income this year.
Wow.
And now I'm at work on others being willing to accept surplus in their life. You don't have to be without anything to really make a difference. Why would you sacrifice? There's no need for it. The world needs to see that great people can win too.
Absolutely.
Accept. Yeah. Wow. It's just incredible, because there's so much of the performer personality that I hear in every answer that you've given. And so there's a few things as a performer that I'm very curious about as to what it was like for you. Something you've mentioned a lot of times, and I can hear it, is your care for others more than self, which is something that we say often about the performer, taking care of everyone else before they take care of themselves. How did you kind of wrestle with that, deal with that in your business when it came time to know this is what the prices are? Some of those things that performers have to wrestle with a little bit.
It was in, it's so interesting. In the module, the last module in MAP, it says, you're doing this for you. That one line so resonated. It never stuff like that never resonates for me. I'm like, really? Okay, whatever. No, this time it resonated. The kind of work we're doing is it's got to get to a place where you're so infinitely clear about your aims in life. You're clear about what it is that you say you want in life. First, you've got to free yourself. You can't go free others without freeing yourself. And so that time when it said in the module, you remember you're doing this for you. It's like, wow, that's right. I'm doing this for me. And I have to keep reminding myself, you're doing this for you.
I want to do one thing. I just want to ask you, because I know that you were just with us at the conference in Ventura, California. And during that conference, we launched.
What's happening with your mic, John?
Uh-oh. Is it all right now?
Yeah. Say the last sentence, please.
I said, I know you were with us at the last conference in Ventura.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So at that conference, we launched the 5 stages of professional influence. And those stages were an opportunity for us to move, introduce and move people through different stages of influence. So, and I can hear them so well in a bit of your journey, but just for our listeners, the beginning of that journey is to recognize that you're not known at all. You're
right.
And then to move to somewhat known and then well known and celebrated. And one of the things that I find interesting about that particular journey is that the journey itself is a journey of influencing others in such a way that the value of what you do, the value of the offer of help you are, your business, your profession, your work with people, that value expands and expands and expands over time. And what people find along that journey is that about the time they move from known to well-known, it ain't about them anymore. Yeah. It's about the value itself, the value proposition, if you will, the magic, the whatever that is. And there's not real ways to move from known to well-known without giving up a little bit of your own self and, or ego about yours. It's got to be about me. Not at the level of well-known. It will look like it's all about you, but that's not how you get there.
No.
And then celebrated, this is where we're talking about your legacy being immortalized in your absence. You're not even there at all. So I just wanted to find out if there's any comment that you care to make about, looking at all of that and how it resonates with your journey.
Wow.
I
actually think it moved from my dream that we would all kind of learn how to work together some way. Now it's not my dream. It's our dream. It's there was an America that got created. That's our dream. There's the dream of a mother. There's the dream of a father. There's a dream of we have many dreams that are collectively part of the human experience. These are our dreams. And no matter what language you say, no matter what color you are, these are our dreams. And we got to believe in our dreams. So it's not my dream anymore. It's our dreams. It's on the shoulders of all our ancestors. Everything they ever did or didn't do, it's all included. And it's our dreams. We have to believe in our dreams. That to me is legacy.
And I don't know if this is premature or not, but I'm hearing a little bit of what you're at work on with your cultural How do you
Mm-hmm.
describe it?
The I Communicate Cultural Collaborative. That
Yeah.
that whole thing is about leadership, leaders causing leaders.
So, and this is, I think, do you want to tee this up? Because I think this is really the we invite people here to take a bit of a soapbox moment, or to express whatever you're committed to. So, if you want to say anything about that.
You're breaking up again. I don't know.
We'll say it this way. We give everyone a soapbox moment towards the end of the thing. And we were sitting there going, hey, you probably have been a through line the whole way. Cause I feel like your heart after your heart after your heart. If you had to have like a soapbox or something that's your kind of vision for what you're doing, what would that be?
Listen, I'm in MAP because I started creating this years ago. It was all about leaders causing leaders. It was all about meeting people where they are and then taking on their relationship to teamwork, like dreams come true with teams, right? And so I started the I Communicate Cultural Collaborative here in Baltimore. And, we have a summit and it's once a quarter and we go after it. And I do a deep dive around what it is to be a leader that causes other leaders because nobody's coming. We keep looking like somebody's coming, the government will save us, something's going to save us. No, it's us. So if you're interested in legacy leadership, that's and I now don't think legacy is something that just happens when you're older. I actually think it happens as a calling because I started thinking about it from day one. I mean, my parents say, Alma Jean was born old. So I came in the world looking for legacy leaders, people who are going to step to the future. And we're going to do what needs to be done and stop waiting on institutions, particularly. That's not the design of those institutions. It's our job to get done what we need to get done. So the I Communicate Summit is about that. And it's grounded in communication. So what I'm really at work on is watch your language. Your words are creating things that you cannot and will not be responsible for. So it's the difference between talking versus communicating. And then as a leader, how do you cause others to take action? So that's what it's all about.
Well, I can definitely tell that you were born on December 25th because you've been such a gift to us. Thank you so much, Gene Lloyd. And as a fellow Capricorn, I hope that you never have any presents wrapped in Christmas paper from now on.
Well, my birthday's Christmas and my parents' anniversary is on Christmas. So I was their first gift, honey. Me and my brother.
Well, thank you, Gene Lloyd, for joining us this week. I'm gonna move to John. What did you hear in this conversation? Like, tell me a little bit of, because there's so much that she shared with us that I'm like, I want to dive into all of it. But what was your big takeaway?
Well, I'll say, but Michael, you got to tell me if my mic is working or not. Can you give me a thumbs up in the booth and tell me?
He said, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Well, you can just hear in Jane again. She's sort of grounded in something, and I think the something she said right at the end there about sort of blown an old person. I think that's how she said it. An old soul, just like a wise old soul who's been. There's a term that I love, and it's called elder. Oftentimes in many tribes of people and many kingdoms of people, there are the elders, and there are the wise old people that sort of watched as the rest of us did all kinds of nonsense, as naive little whatever. And then and they watched and they would, and sort of let that all play out, knowing that there would be lessons along the way. And ultimately, there would be good that came out of those lessons. And I experienced Gene Lloyd as an absolute elder in some ways. But one of the things that I also love about Gene, and I'm curious about this, Gene. If when you and I talked at the conference, one of the things that we talked about was what I could hear in your being, having an ear for kind of the architecture of a community, of a culture of people. And there was a term that you used for that. And I would love to, Michael, if you could put her back up for it. What is the term for that you said? And I thought it was like cultural art.
Oh, cultural. It was a cultural ontology.
Cultural ontology.
Yeah, it's about how does that culture exist? How is it brought to life? What narratives and language and traditions and ideas? You must respect that, and then allow for it to emerge in its fullest power.
So, to answer your question, and Michael, you can keep it right there. Some people have the capacity to lead by force. Some people have the ability to persuade with charisma. And then there are these people who, and Gene is one of them, who have this capacity to stand steadfast, listening for the essence of people and cultures and organizations, and she can hear what nobody else can hear. And when she hears what nobody else could hear, she can show it to you. And in the moment that she shows it to you, it's a bit like revealing some secret that you never ever, it's somewhere in the back, you knew that thing was, and all of a sudden it's still, with such finesse. Like, well, let me show you something. And then in that moment, it's like with the elders, all is healed and all is well, something like that. And so,
that was so, that is so well said. It's literally what I'm looking for is you can unlock it if you have the language.
Yes.
So if you don't have the language, you have no access to it.
That's right.
So I'm listening and listening and listening for what is the language that truly captures the essence of who these people are.
That's
how
right.
do we bring out the best in them? It's there. It's always there. But you got to listen long enough and be still long enough and not be quick and draw conclusions.
Well, the thing that I love about the cultural ontology conversation that we started is I've always known you to, I got to look at her over here. I've been looking at her. I got to look at you. I've always known you to be someone who can hold the space, right? Can hold the space. You got big ears. In other words, you can hear the bigness of people, humanities, cultures, and so forth. And I think there's something really important about the work that you do and culture in the same way that Influential You introduces personality as an access to some kind of coexistence. And there's a kind of cultural ontology that's distinct from what I would call characteristics of a culture, as in I can describe it, but describing it doesn't get it. Get it. That's like saying, if I described you, it might be like, okay, well, she's got, large earrings and a colorful dress and brown hair. That doesn't describe Gene Lloyd.
No.
And I can't describe a culture that way.
No.
There's something else. There's the heart and soul of a culture and so forth. So anyway, I've often thought of you sort of as, somebody who can heal cultures, bring us, somehow deal with this nonsense of, being so different in some ways when we're so the same in so many other ways.
What's so cool about what you just said is it was never about a culture. Because sometimes when you say culture, people think you mean black and white. They don't get where we create meaning is in culture.
Right.
It's the songs, it's the clothes, it's the habits, it's
the or the yes, all of it. Right.
You got to be able to get in that groove. So if you're in your own groove, you can't hear their culture.
That's right.
And then it becomes offensive. And there's appropriation in there. Things we do that are harmful and we don't know it is. And yet it still does harm.
Yeah. So, as far as I'm concerned, we need a lot more of you and a lot more of, I need your, the thing I was going to talk to you offline a little bit. I'll just say it this way. Look, you need to start training people to offer the ears that you offer.
Oh, yeah. That's, now,
knock, 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 knock. Well, here's the thing, so for everybody,
so good.
I know I feel like we're having a one-on-one here, but so sorry. I know. Patience. So, as anybody moves through the stages of professional influence, and this is, where I'm interested in a lot of your help being in the world. So that means I got to get you bigger than you.
That's right. You do.
I got to get you a lot bigger than you. And so getting you a lot bigger than you means that there's some way in which to transfer the skill, the knowledge, the work, the labor, the gift, the ability to enough apostles. By the way, I only talk about religious truthers. I am not a religious person at all, but enough. We got to get enough apostles. Got to get enough apostles around you that are, singing the Gene Lloyd song and writing the Gene Lloyd verses, and so, but not about Gene, but about the teaching.
I know what you mean, man.
Yeah. So that's
all. The model works, man. We've seen it, centuries old.
That's right. We know it works. So you need some apostles.
I do need some apostles.
They need to be fast now.
Now. I know I look like I'm a youngster, but I'm not. I'm teasing, but you know what I mean. I'm not going to be around here forever, folks.
That's right. That's right. Let's get to it. Well, all right. Well, that's all to just say, I love you so much. I want more of you in the world, and I appreciate you deeply. And it's so great to have you with us, and such a pleasure. And I hope you were honored today by being here. And, we're loving it for you. So great to have you with us.
Yeah. Thank you, Gene.
Thank you. What a joy.
I love that John said he's not religious, because we just sat there and talked to an angel for an hour. Oh, Gene, I'm such a fan.
We did.
Oh, thank you so much. Next week, I know Gene's going to be listening in next week, because Nicole Briones is going to join John on the podcast, and Nicole is in Gene's study group. If you don't know Nicole, she has an incredible story that includes being recognized for her skills, moving across the country, and nearly doubling her annual income. You will not want to miss how she did it. Thank you so much for joining us today. Each week we stream live at 2 p.m. Pacific on our website, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you would enjoy this podcast, will you share it with others? You can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or any place that you get your podcasts. Don't be shy. Give us a rating or review. We want to know what you think. Check out our show notes for links to connect with our guests, plus links to websites, books, or special downloads we talked about on today's episode. This podcast is made possible by the Influential You staff, mentors, and members all around the world. A special thanks to our executive producer, Tyson Crandall, with video and sound by Michael Teehee and Daryl Anderley. The Influential You podcast is produced by Influence Ecology, LLC in Ventura, California. This episode was recorded on July 27th. Good. This podcast theme that you got to hear at the beginning and on the way out is by Chris Strandring, and it's titled Fast Train to Everywhere. And if you haven't offered a rating or review, I ask that you take a moment and go to iTunes or your podcast app and let us know what you think. This helps us more than you know. We'll see you next week.